people learned with David Levincrus in their time of Pardes? I know Ben Friedman did. So David Levincrus, who was my first teacher at Pardes in Mishnah Aleph, once said that Anatevka, the town from Fiddler on the Roof, is the greatest shtetl that never was. That is to say that all of our Jewish imaginings and so many of the imaginings of non-Jews around us are imbued in that music and in that play, even if there never really could have been a real-life Anatevka. So I'm a big musical buff. I grew up on musicals, and I now have a 2-year-old son, Judah, and I often sing musicals to him, because what else are you going to do? And one song in particular has been a regular as of late, a song that some of you may know that Huddle sings to her father about leaving Anatevka when her love, her husband-to-be, has been exiled to Siberia. Anyone know the song? Okay, I'm going to sing, because I also sing. She says, "How can I hope to make you understand why I do what I do, why I must travel to a distant land, far from the home I love? Once I was happily content to be as I was, where I was, close to the people who are close to me, there in the home I love. Yet there with my love, I'm home." And the song evokes a love story that many of us may be familiar with, that we leave our biological families to fulfill romantic love, to create a new family. But for me, the thing that affects me so deeply is the last line, the idea of a traveling home, a home that moves with you and grows with you. Sorry, I don't know why that's so emotional for me. So I brought props. You can't have a Pardes learning session without a physical book or a learning sheet that comes in a plastic, whatever the hell that thing is. So Daniel Boyarin, who many of you may know, legendary Talmud scholar and overall pretty great guy, lives just across the bay with us in Berkeley. He writes in this latest book, which is called A Traveling Homeland, that we often associate diaspora with being exiled from a specific place, for the Jews, the land of Israel. Or with a language for the Jews, perhaps Hebrew. But these actually aren't things we as Jews have in common. We have lots of Jews who can't trace their roots to Israel, even a long time ago, or whose ancestors never spoke Hebrew. The truly binding force behind the Jewish people, he posits, and Leon just spoke really about this, the truly binding force, historical and modern, is the Talmud, is the text. It's our traveling homeland and our Mishkan. So I could tell you all the ways Pardes has made my life what it is, and in large part I know I'd be preaching to the choir. I could tell you that my husband, who walked in the room at a very convenient timing, is the childhood best friend of my first ever Havruta, Will Keller. I could tell you that my son, and this is a machloket in our house, but that my son is named after Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, the redactor of the Mishnah. That's what I always tell people, at least. I think about the fact that this Masechet Sanhedrin is the thing that I think about if, God forbid, our house were burning down, is the thing that I think I would take with me. The Masechet that I learned in Leah Rosenthal's class and that has her teachings written in very colorful markers in all the margins. I could tell you that I remember less about the contents of this Masechet than I do about the jokes that Tzvi Hirschfeld made in the Beit Midrash when we were learning it. But I do remember this in that Mishnah Aleph class with Ben Friedman. DLK, David Levincrus, made us memorize the first Mishnah we ever learned. Do you remember how it starts? Me'ematai korin et shema ba'aravit, misha'ah she'kohanim nichnasim le'achol b'terumatan. Ad sof hashmora rishona. So from the time that the Kohanim come to eat from their offering, when do we start to read the Shema? We do it according to when these Kohanim come in, etc., etc. So Dale K made us memorize this because he said that was a rite of passage and that was how Mishnah was supposed to be learned, so I remember it. But what I think is so interesting is to understand this Mishnah in its original form, you need so much background. Of course, you need Hebrew. You need to know that we read Shema at all. You need to know that there are Kohanim and that they live and work in this thing called the temple. You need to know they eat burnt offerings. And you need to know that this has anything to do with prayer, and that prayer replaces this eating, and that the people that wrote the Mishnah have probably never even been to the temple, and so many other pieces of insider baseball. I recently relearned this Mishnah with a dear friend who is now actually studying at Pardes, on my recommendation, I will say. And I was really amazed at my ability to recall all these details and these nuances. But what I was really unsurprised about was the more important part of our learning, that by reading and dissecting and debating together, I could see her and she could see me, and we were home. And Pardes is my home, really. But what I believe even more strongly is that it's made the Talmud my home, connecting me to the world's Jews and to the Jews of the generation both before and after me, to my son, to future generations. So my blessing for Pardes is that this work continues for a long time, that scores of students continue to enter the doors of that Beit Midrash, that your lessons and your Torah and your attitude and your mindset continue to create and redefine the paradigm of what it means to be Jewish wherever you are. And I'm so glad it's been a part of my life.